In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I split, fill and layer my cakes ready for decoration. They can be either left as buttercream or covered with sugar paste or fondant. Here I have two 7-inch cakes. These are salted caramel flavour and smell so good. I've used my easy vanilla cake recipe and just substituted the vanilla extract for salted caramel flavouring. I'll link the recipe in the description below. So these have been left completely cool in their pans, and I'm going to gently remove them by turning upside down and giving a little shake. The pan is completely lined, so it makes it a lot easier. If you're struggling to line your pans, I have videos on these on my channel. To split my cakes, I use a very basic cake leveller. These consist of two parts, the thicker metal piece that you hold and the wire that cuts through the cake. There are also little notches on the side that you can use to adjust the height of the wire. As you can see, I've adjusted my wire so that I slice through the cake evenly. I find a back and forth motion works best. Also coming through from different sides helps to keep it more level and easier to cut through to the other side. Once I've moved the lower piece of the cake out of the way, I can level the hump off the tops. Because I bake low and slow, I don't tend to get big amounts of cake that I need to cut away. If there's any cake left that you want to trim, I just come in with a serrated bread knife and skim it off little by little until it's gone. It's only caramelisation of the sugar, so don't worry too much about it. I always simple syrup my cakes. I'll link to the video on all things simple syrup if you're not sure what it is. It's basically a sugar syrup that is used to keep the cakes moist during the decorating process. After about 5 minutes, all the simple syrup is soaked in and we can start to build our cake and fill between the layers. I've popped my cake board onto a turntable as it makes it so much easier to get those super smooth sides. I've also whipped up some salted caramel buttercream to go with my cake. The only tools I use are an offset spatula and a bench scraper. So let's begin building. Start by smearing a small amount of buttercream onto the board. This will stop the sponge from moving around. Be sure to centre it in the middle of the cake board. Now I'm happy, I'll begin to fill. I use a spatula or a spoon to pop the buttercream on the layers, so I don't return crumbs into my buttercream. Try and get the buttercream as smooth and even as possible before adding the next layer. This will help keep the whole cake level and look even in your slices. Continue filling and layering until you get to the top. For the final layer, I flip my sponge over so the bottom now becomes the top. Line up your sponge layer with the rest and carefully press down to flatten and level off your cake. You can do this by eye or use a clean spirit level if you want to be really accurate. Next, we're going to apply a crumb coat. This is a thin layer of buttercream all over the cake which keeps in all the crumbs and acts as a base coat. Work around all the sides and the top, and when it's completely covered, we can smooth it out. Here I use one hand to keep the bench scraper at a 90-degree angle against the cake, and I use the other hand to slowly rotate the board. As you go round, excess buttercream will be removed from the cake onto the bench scraper and begin smoothing it out. If you have any places that you may have missed, you can always use the excess buttercream off the scraper, fill it in and smooth it out. As you can see, I'm popping the excess buttercream into a separate bowl. You don't want to return it to your original buttercream as it will be all crummy and ruin your final coat. Now the sides are smooth, you can see a lip of buttercream around the top edge. Using my offset spatula, I'm going to pull this buttercream carefully towards the centre, ensuring I scrape off the spatula after every swipe to create a cleaner edge. Don't worry too much at this point about getting it completely smooth. Once we add our next layer of buttercream, we can focus on full coverage and a picture perfect finish. For now, pop your cake into the fridge for around 30 minutes until the buttercream has hardened, and if touched with a clean finger, no buttercream will come off. So now we're going to use exactly the same technique as before, but this time adding a thicker layer of buttercream. Cover the whole cake as evenly as you can and smooth out the sides, filling and re-smoothing any gaps as you go. Once the sides are done, move on to the top, and as before, carefully pulling the buttercream towards the centre, remembering to clean the spatula after every swipe. Finally, we can carefully use the spatula to clean up the top and you are done. Return the cake to the fridge to harden and set again, and you're ready to decorate. I have more videos on my channel for tips, tricks and decorating ideas, and please do consider subscribing.